Sycamores, Bill Hodges, coaching in place of Bob King, who is here.
Typical thing I'll go through, the part you don't know is just how improbable it was. When you think back to the summer of 1978, I'm working that summer at the Terre Haute Tribune. You get a phone call that Bob King's in the hospital. He's been at a basketball clinic in Iowa. He's had a heart attack. He'd had a history of some medical issues. The prognosis really didn't look very good. And so there are team meetings as practice begins, and Bill is appointed as an acting coach, and that's chaos. I don't care if you have a lot of talent in uniform, when a season begins in that climate and with that loss of stability, what I will tell people in Terre Haute will tell you they knew all about the NCAA tournament in October of 1978. There isn't a soul who knew that Salt Lake City was the host of the NCAA championship game or the Final Four. Not a soul, because no one thought that far ahead. All they could think of in October of 1978, who's going to be the coach? How's this going to come together? How will the team react?
The best in college basketball. This afternoon, the Shockers of Wichita State.
There was a roof leak about 2 hours before game time, dripping into the center of the tartan surface of Haldeman Center. We're going to be on national television in two and a half hours. And people were up on the roof desperately dealing with it. I have this recollection. I was distracted with other duties, but they finally had tarps brought over and had tarps brought up some way up the staircases, and got some volunteers and threw tarps across the roof and at least got the leak stopped. There had been a lot of sideline stuff about, well, will Billy Packer be here? And I think I wasn't the one having the conversations, but I think there were conversations with NBC that it probably made more sense to send Al McGuire and leave Billy out of the picture. I don't think anybody would have harmed Billy, but it just would have been such a distraction. And Billy was widely viewed as obnoxious and elitist and deeply committed to the ACC, and who wanted to waste their time with him, whereas McGuire was brilliant about picking out underdogs, and his perceptive abilities about the game were sky high. And McGuire kind of sought me out, and he wanted to take separate notes. He wanted his own notes and his own, he said, give me some stuff I can use. You know the kind of stuff I use. And we talked a little bit about Indiana State University being a first-generation institution, that the majority of students were first-generation attendees at college, and so there was a little bit of a blue-collar environment here of strivers and people who were trying to make their place in life. Well, he loved that. I said I just wrote a piece for our game program about Bird, and I think it was picked up by the Spectator magazine, which was a local weekly at the time. I said, I referred to Bird as Halley's Comet. He is the kind of phenomenon that can only occur every 75 years. And if you look at the open of NBC's show the next day, McGuire uses the Halley's Comet.
Oh, this is bird watching country, but this is a rare bird. There's a meteor called Halley's Comet that appears once every 76 years. And that's what they call.
After a year working in the newspaper business here, I'd always planned to go back to school doing something. I wasn't sure what. I enrolled in law school and went to work for the Indianapolis Star. And so instead of learning my craft as a hard-working law clerk in some distinguished law firm in Indianapolis, I worked in the Star Sports Department every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night for 3 years, and full-time in the summer, and had an absolute blast. What I didn't get in legal experience, I was able to make up for in great stories. So I had a blast with those guys in what truly would be the last great days of newspapering, 1980 to 1983. Graduated from law school, worked for 2 years as a law clerk to a federal district judge, an ISU alum named Gene Brooks in Evansville, and never ever expected at the end of law school that I would come back to Terre Haute, and 33 years later I'm working in the same building I've been working for 33 years, and for the last 12 I've been a part-time federal magistrate judge. So I'm practice law 100% of the time, and a part-time federal judge the extra 10% of the time.